this is Eva for Once Upon a Timeline. Welcome to Midnight Mandela. I hope everybody is doing good this week. Every week it's weirder than the last, but actually this week wasn't too bad. So, for me, I don't know, seems like a lot of other people have been losing their minds. Maybe that's just how it's gonna be now. Horses are eating radioactive grass. Like what is over like by Chernobyl, or they like it, or let me just see what's up. I mean, I guess they'll, if that's the only grass around. I do think this whole Chernobyl thing is weird because they're like, oh, they're mutating and but they're not dying and they're not getting sick. Live in Chernobyl. Okay, exclusion zone in Ukraine. Okay, Przewalski horses, I do believe, are actually a giant Mandela. Okay, so they're like a wild horse of the region now. We're introduced into the area in 1998 as a conservation experiment. See, that's already a Mandela, because last I checked into these, which was only a few months ago, they didn't have, like, they had so few of them left that they weren't, like, reintroducing them all over the place. Nearly 4 decades after the explosion, they roam freely. They seek shelter in crumbling barns to escape harsh weather. So these horses are like very weather tolerant, which I didn't have horses that could tolerate all this crap, that like snow and stuff. And for me, like the Mongols used to ride reindeer for a while, and now they're like, I think they're on horses. Let me see if they still ride the reindeer. And even that, I was like, what? They ride reindeer? Let's see. Do Mongolians ride? And then I was like, since when are reindeer so friendly? Like, they're a wild animal. Okay, so now it's just one tribe that rides the reindeer. Okay, so so that was the thing, you know, originally I thought that they rode horses, and then all of a sudden they were riding reindeer. I think we're back to horses. But when the reindeer showed up, I was like, they're wild animals, you can't just ride everything. But you can in this timeline, you can just, some of them are just harder to train now, but no, new risks to horses because of the Ruskies. Yeah, whatever. Those horses weren't even there before. Wild horses thrive in radioactive environment, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I don't know. Let me just see what's up with Przewalskis. Looks like there's a lot of them now. Declared distinct in 1969. I don't know if I remember that. Survived only through captive breeding. I don't think I remember reading that they were declared extinct. I could be wrong on that. I remember they were really rare. There weren't that many. So now they're an example of successful reintroduction. Oh, okay. Declared extinct except through captive breeding. Okay, so that is not... Okay, extinct in the wild. Not extinct. That's a sneaky sentence. Okay. I don't remember that. I still don't remember that part, though. I thought there was still some. It's always changing. I don't remember this reintroduction thing, so... So now what? They're successfully reintroduced, so there's more of them, which fits with the typical Mandela. I'm sure that this is going to be another excuse for the Mandela to have a whole bunch of weird animals and behaviors and mutations. Przewalski horse, last remaining truly wild horses species on Earth, named after Nikolai Przewalski. So I don't think we had any wild horses left before. They look kind of like donkeys. They're a smaller horse, but I don't think they're small enough to count as ponies. And one of the narratives that we're getting now is that they can, like, some of these horses can just carry more weight, like they're really beefy, which makes sense with the Mandela. Taki. Reintroduced in Mongolia. Okay, but apparently it was also reintroduced in the Ukraine. Long considered the only true wild horse. I thought there was a wild one, Wild Horses of Canada, too. So that one showed up. Let's see. Native. Because if it's native, Canada. Let me see if it even comes up. Not then. Okay. La Croix is recognized the only horse breed matured by indigenous people, nearly extinct in the 70s, but have been revived. Let me see, there was only like 15 or 20 of these last time I checked, so let's see what we got for Lac La Croix horsey. Semi-feral Canadian horse breed. It's not really saying whether they're native or not. There are 200 horses located in Okay, so there was about 15. Now there's 200. So they're rapidly, magically spreading. And to be clear, horses only can have like one offspring per year. So if you had 15 horses and say 8 of them were females, then you could get your herd to be up to like, 20 something. You could not suddenly be at 200. Ojibwe were believed to be a landrace cross of Canadian horse and Spanish colonial horse. This was incorrect. The ponies have British pony ancestry as well as some Iberian horse markers. They are classified as an indigenous horse of Canada. What does that even mean? Indigenous to me means that they are native to there. But here it's a land race, is domesticated, locally adapted, and often traditional variety of species of animal. Okay, so like I'm highlighting indigenous horse and I'm getting a land race. This is very suspicious. I think it's shifted again because they were saying that these seem to be indigenous. And now they're saying they're a mix of some other horses. And I click on indigenous and I get land race. Land race, which showed up a few years ago as a word, was not what these things are. By the 1900s, the ponies were plentiful. All right, now the stories, they took away their natives, had their horses taken away so they wouldn't leave the reservation. That's a new narrative. Before it was like, we just didn't like them, so we killed all their horses. This is pretty thin here, and I would not be surprised if it shifts again. see what these guys look like. So some of these had those early weirdo markings that they were like ancestral markings of cross, like stripinesses and stuff. And that was the first breed I saw that had that. But a bunch of breeds are getting those now. I think that there's that even name for it. So that's another kind of a smallish horse. Yeah, I don't even know what to say about the nuke thing. It's like the whole story of even what nukes are, what they do, how much damage they cause, keeps changing. So I mean, they're not as bad as they were because the place won't be contaminated for 2 million years or anything like before. Not saying I want to deal with it, of course, but I kind of stopped worrying about it now. I'm just like, whatever's going to happen is what's going to happen. The Mandela will make it so it works out. There's so many new horses, and they keep changing too, because I'll look into a new horse and it'll say, like, for instance, they'll say these were used by the knights in Great Britain because they were big and they could carry a lot of armor and weight. And then, like, 3 months later, and I'll see it all over, too. Like, I didn't just look at one. You know, I looked at the wiki and a whole bunch of historical sites. And then 3 months later, they'll say, oh, no, that's just a myth. They weren't used for that because they needed faster, swifter horses. I'm like, and then they're like, oh, the armor really wasn't even that heavy. I'm like, oh, okay, so armor has upgraded and horses are stronger so they can carry more weight for their body weight. So now the story has shifted that they needed these fast, speedy horses. Yeah, what exactly is a landrace breed? Landrace. It's a goofy thing that... Right. See, it's such a weird storyline that it's like hard to like stick it in your head. A domesticated, locally adapted, traditional variety of species that has developed. So I guess it just means it's been there a long time and it's well integrated into older cultures. So it's not, but it's not indigenous. And so when they said it's indigenous and then I hover over it and they show landrace, as far as I can tell, that's still inaccurate. Very suspicious to me. From village dogs to landrace dogs. So it's, I guess it's like one breed that has become like this very old breed of the area, but not indigenous, I would say. Maybe it's a mix of other dogs. I think that, is that a Basenji dog? I think so. I do like horses from a safe distance. You know, if you don't know anything about horses, that's always a good idea. But generally speaking, as long as you don't, like, sneak up behind them and startle them, or, like, really mess with them, they're not gonna do anything to you. So landrace is domesticated but has adapted local conditions. So, I don't, does it say it could survive on its own? I'm not, okay, let's see. Like, because some of these dogs, well, they could survive on their own. Okay, they have evolved through natural selection and adaptation rather than strict human direct breeding. Okay, so there's a fair degree of just natural shaping. Okay, so all right, that makes sense. I mean, we do see that if you let a lot of horses loose, a fair chunk of them can survive as long as they can find enough grass. Because there's been many stories of other horses that just escape and they'll just join the Mustang clan, or they'll just keep eating whatever's around. And I mean, horses are usually smart enough to just like, oh, it's scary, I'll kick it, I'll run away, I'll eat grass, don't fall in the hole. They actually are pretty dangerous enough to scare off most predators. And so a lot of the middle-sized, really fit dogs could do the same. I like horses, but I have anxiety. Yeah, you know, they can totally kill you. That's one thing. They do deserve a lot of respect. Most horse injuries are like accidents. Like they didn't really plan to hurt you, but you like fell off, or they stepped on your foot, or they got scared and smashed into you because there was something scary on the other side. Or dogs are very good at surviving. A lot of them are, yeah, and they will join their little clubs, you know, so if they kind of suck at surviving, they'll join in with the other dogs and like kind of learn. So yeah. So even like little dumb chihuahuas, they're like, I'll suck up to this pit bull, you know, I'll hang out under this pit bull. So where is everyone? I don't know. I mean, it's kind of funny to me because this is one day where I feel pretty spry. I saw a video of a guy who walked up to a wild horse and pet it, and it bit him. Yeah, I think that's that British one. Now, what's the Mandela for me is that in the past, those horses would run away, and they're gotten a lot more bold now. So I could totally see somebody thinking, hey, this horse isn't running away. It must not be that mean. But, yeah. Horses are, you know, historically, they were pretty shy. Even domestic ones can be like, I don't know you. Like, I'd rather not have you touching me. And now you have this wild horse is just like, who's that? You know? So that is the weird Mandela for me, that they would do that. Like, any horse would do that. Okay, so the thumbnail is this sling-jawed wrasse, which I believe was Jackie. Yes. I think we've had these on before, or something similar. Maybe it wasn't these, but they've definitely kind of upgraded themselves. Let's see. That's that image. And there seems like quite a bit of variation, because that guy's one, and it's dark, and then there's yellow one, and then that guy's brown. That guy's kind of got stripies. This guy's got a zigzag through his eye. So, you know, that's kind of the thing now. You can't just tell by color. So these guys, they basically have... So let me find one that doesn't have his mouth out. So they have like, their mouth is like all folded under here. And then they can just shoot it way out. Like a giant spring-loaded straw thingy. This is funny because it says male versus female, but I think it's really just one with his mouth slung out and one without the mouth slung out. Because that guy looks like it has the spring-loaded mouth too. So, you know, it looks fairly normal until it does that. Maybe these fish over here think, oh yeah, he's pretty far away. You know, I could swim away in time. And then suddenly the mouth is just coming. All right, I have a video of these things. This TikTok guy, obviously the eye is fake, but let me make sure that there's not going to be any sound. Kill the sound. Oh, it's YouTube Shorts. All right, so this guy was dead, so I think they just pulled out the mouth, but there is a there is an image of what it does. It's actually even more gross because there's like all of this jaw in here. Like it's alien time. Okay, so that's what happens. Mouth forward the length. So it's like, you know, half the length of the fish shoots out of the head, and it's super creepy. I call creepy. Not that I have any opportunity now to go near horses. You never know when a horse will show up. I think it's definitely been a weird week. I'm kind of surprised nobody's here, but I don't even describe this. It's like people have gotten pushed even further. It just seems like every shift, people got pushed further, and so they get more crazy. So a certain percentage of people kind of like, it's like they figure it out. They get over the hump, and then they start to come back to sanity land. But another percentage of people just get pushed further into insanity land. And insanity land is like hate and judginess and like all this self-aggrandizement and all that stuff. And it's just like a constant negativity. So I think it's really dangerous. You got to really watch for the constant negativity, because it's like a poison. You know, the more you do it, the more it like infects you. When I was a kid, they used to have this thing called catharsis in the psychological community, where there was this theory that, say you had a lot of anger in you, and the solution, which I believe this theory was put forth by what's his name, that famous psychologist that was nuts, but the theory was that if you let it out, like you expressed it in a safe way, but it let it escape, like you would get rid of some of it. And that was the idea. So like, say you were angry and you wanted to scream, so you could go and you could get a pillow and you'd put your face and scream into the pillow, like, and so that would kind of feel good because you felt angry and you wanted to scream, and you could like act on it, but yet you didn't really hurt anybody. But then, and I don't know if this was always the case, but has been for a while, that they did research and they found that like the more you just indulge in that behavior, that angry behavior, the more you want to do it. And instead of getting it out, what happens is it becomes a habit. So the more you do it, the more you want to do it. And it just becomes like you just walk further down that path. And that's why it's so dangerous. Every time you do it, is one more step down that path, more and more and more and more and more. And, you know, you could see that people, it just sucks their soul out. I think it eats away your soul. You know, it eats away your ability to be positive. A friend of mine who grew up in San Diego said there was a pack of feral dogs that was led by a rabbit. Someone's pet rabbit escaped and become the leader of these dogs. You know, I could see it, because having had, like, I'm not a rabbit expert, but when I worked at Petco, we did sell rabbits. The smaller ones are still pretty big. I mean, they're bigger like than a Chihuahua. They're pretty smart overall, more than you'd think. And some of them are pretty bold, especially if they're kind of tamed since young. And they can act very dog-like, and they have their whole dominance thing. So I'm not shocked. Like, I knew this guy, we had a really cool one that was just really, had a lot of character and was very friendly. And he adopted it, and he was a coworker. And we'd hear all these stories, you know, like he'd be eating chips and the rabbit would sneak up and just smack the chip out of his hand, grab it, and run off. You know, just things like that, you know. Not mean, but he wanted a chip, so he'd get like this sneaky plan. And she said it would stand up on its hind legs and box them on the face if they didn't do what it wanted. That's interesting, because like on my old timeline, they didn't do that hind leg punching thing that they started doing. I don't know, when was that showed up? Maybe 4 or 5 years ago. The thing with this is that rabbit could do that up until the point where it encountered a dog that didn't accept the bluff. And I see that with cats a lot. Like my brother had a cat and he bragged that his cat could face down any dog. And I go, well, yeah, but if there's an actual fight, the dog's going to win because your cat is not even fighting. It's just acting bold. So when you get up to somebody and go, rrr, rrr, you better know how to fight because you'll get away with that 100 times. And then 101st time, somebody will clean your clock. Someone will beat your butt and you better hope that you don't get any permanent damage or death. And that's kind of what happened with his cat because I was bringing my dog over and my dog was a landrace breed Jindo dog, and it was a hunting dog. Now, luckily, I had carefully trained him not to injure cats. And I had cats, and that's part of why and how I was able to do it. So he knew that he was not allowed to injure a cat, but he did still love to chase them, heckle them, and give them a bunch of crap. And so he saw, I go, I'm not going to let my dog off the leash because he's going to chase your cat all over Dodge. And they're like, oh no, our cat can handle it. I'm like, I don't think so. They're like, it can't. So I'm like, okay, because they insisted. So I snapped my dog off the leash. And my dog's waiting, and he's like, I can do it. He shoots at that cat. And the cat is like, his snarl. My dog did not care. He just kept coming. And what he would do, and it's scary, but I had learned from time that he would not hurt them. But what he would do was he would grab them by the scruff and then try to hold them down with his paws. So he wouldn't grab them so hard that he would like puncture the skin or anything. And he did have some trouble holding them down because he didn't have that strong a bite. He was a very smart dog. He knew the rules. So he would do everything 1 inch and up to 1 inch of the rules. So he's like, I didn't hurt it. So he was going to do that to their cat. And I knew he was. So I'm like, well, they're so sure. And this cat needs to learn because the cat had never run into a dog that was truly dangerous. And my dog was the perfect one to train the cat because I knew that it wouldn't end up fatal. The cat would learn that it can't win, but it wouldn't get killed. So my dog does charge right at him and pounce on the cat. And the cat tries to swat or something, and my dog just smashes him down, and then it was on, and luckily their cat decided to run, and then there was running all over the yard, and then I had to try to tackle my dog because at some point my brother and his wife realized that their plan was not a good one, so I was able to, once he got his eyes on that prey animal, he was hard to slurp them back. So I catched him, and then you know what? My brother and his wife, they were just silent. They didn't want to say, oh, I was wrong. Oh, my cat's not that. It was just this deadly awkward silence because my dog had kicked that they always bragged about for years about how tough their cat was, and I didn't want to dig the knife in any deeper, but it was a weird, awkward thing. Like, now what do I, now what do I say? Just put the dog on the leash, pretend this never happened. I don't know. That male bird call, that sounds like a cool bubble robot. I saw your link in the comments, but that thing wouldn't play the sound for me. I mean, I saw the mouth open and things, but no noise came out. So I'm not sure what's up. I kind of have to look it up because sometimes there's fake sounds added to these animals. So that's kind of what happened to that rabbit. That was a very long version of it. But yeah, he can act dominant. He can push around those dogs, but only until he runs up against a dog that puts in a serious challenge, like he's ready to fight. And then he would lose. And if that dog was really serious, then that rabbit could die. Like, say a dog comes along that likes to eat rabbits. The thing is, a lot of these domestic dogs, they don't have a lot of natural experience, so they can kind of be snowed into a lot of stuff. But I looked up. Okay, it's a legit bird. Yeah, I just couldn't. I don't know what it was called, and it wouldn't make the noise for me. Like for some reason that it wouldn't play, and I don't know if it's because I had the TikTok muted on another window, but then that TikTok window was not muted, so I don't know. Yeah, yeah. If you find the name, I'll put it up. Forest hogs. Yeah, so that was kind of an older thing, like ordinary pigs would escape and then like magically change into this giant hairy boar creature, which is another, to me, early foray that the Mandela made, that it couldn't make wild pigs right away, so it's like, oh well, domestic pigs escaped and changed into like a whole different looking animal. Okay, this one is totally creepy. It's apparently this is the most common primary bone cancer is what is it called? Sunburst, osteosarcoma. Easy Choosy 181 found this one, so good find. I have never seen this before. Cancer is definitely weird. I mean, but it used to just be like the bone would disintegrate. Okay? And then it was like, well, okay, maybe there's a lump or something. And then it got like kind of all just moth-eaten. But now we have sunburst. That looks extremely... Can you imagine your own bones like start stabbing your flesh? That would be absolutely horrible. I don't wish that on anybody. I hope no real humans ever actually got this. That, I mean, like people I know got cancer. They got like a lump, and maybe the lump pushed on a nerve or it like blocked circulation, but none of my friends ever had anything like this. It's just insane. Of course, I don't think I know anybody who had bone cancer either, now that you mention it. This is absolutely stuff of nightmares. To think that this is the most common. I actually tried to find more info on it, and although I found plenty of images, I couldn't find a lot of real information on like how common is it. There's a bunch of like really technical stuff which I can't even understand. This is like 3 fancy words per sentence at least. Okay, that's not it. Osteosarcoma just means, osteo means bone, sarcoma means cancer. So, but you can see this. Let me see if this says anything. No, see, it's just Facebook. So I was like, I didn't really learn anything. Sunburst appearance. Codman's triangle. Let me just try this. The pain is worse at night. X-ray reveals destructive lesion in the distal femur with a sunburst and Codman's triangle. What's the most likely diagnosis? Osteosarcoma, maybe? There's not a lot of info there. Insta. So yeah, I see a lot of images of it. It's here and there. It's a thing. I was just like, it's so fresh that I don't have info yet, but I don't think I even found... Did I find a wiki? I don't think I found a wiki. Let's see what we got for wikis. Causes spicules to radiate. Okay, there's an osteosarcoma. Wiki M. I don't know what that is. Most common primary pediatric bone tumor. 2/3 of those diagnosed with non-metastatic disease under the age of 40 will be long-term survivors. often in adolescence during growth spurt. Large soft tissue, is tender, occurs on long bones. There's not, see, it's not. Sunburst pattern on X-ray. This pattern describes a lytic. I don't even know what all this stuff means. It's not clear. Are they all have that, or is it just some subform? I guess the cat and the owners learned a valuable lesson. Yeah, when my dog chased him. Yeah, I did feel like that. That is one of the reasons I went ahead and let him off, because first of all, I had heard just like for years and endlessly about how tough their cat is and how their cat would kick my dog's butt. And it was just getting really old. And second of all, I knew that there would be no death involved. But, a lot of times something in my mind feels like it's going to be really sweet victory when somebody brags and brags and then they get like, owned, as they say. But every time it happens, I end up just going, you know what? This is not even fun for me because it's so miserable and they're so miserable and I just don't get the pleasure that I expected. But I did at least not have to listen to them bragging about it anymore. In fact, I never heard again how tough their cat was. The male Montezuma. What is the heck is that? Now I'm afraid to ask. Okay, that's a bird. All right. Okay. I have something like that in the bottom of my foot. It might be just like a bunion. So there's a lot of weird like foot lumps, and they're just like because of like non-comfy shoes and stuff. Because this thing, I don't think you could ignore it. I think it would hurt like a mofo. Really, really bad. All right, this one. All right, so Easy Cheesy found that one. Jackie found slingjaw rasp. This one, all right. All these marlins. And they used to have that sailfin marlin. All these ones that they fish, sport fish. Well, they have one called striped marlin, I believe it's called. Kajikia audax marlin. So they're bringing it up a notch. So this thing changes color when it's hunting, and it gets they say that they get neon blue stripes. Now the weird thing is I can't find any video of them getting neon blue stripes. I can find some video where you can see a hint of blue. I would imagine the argument is that it's underwater or something, and so you can't see it. I think this might be fresh off the out of the microwave, so to speak, and we'll get the blue later. But so these stripes, the story now is that they get these stripes when they're about to charge food. The narrative is so that they don't stab each other, because I guess no marlin would notice. I don't know. I guess it's possible if two marlins saw fish and they both went, now, then they could stab each other. But so the story now is that they put this blue on so that they see the other guys getting ready to charge, and they put that into consideration. And then when they're going to eat, supposedly they get really dark. I'm going to turn off the sound here. So that's them. I've never even seen a marlin that has this. This got a weird fin. It's way up at the top, the dorsal, instead of in the middle. I don't even know what's going on with that. The rest of it is pretty marlin-like, but I've never seen these stripes. It looks like a barber's pole or something. It looks ridiculous. So supposedly this guy is about to eat, and this is going to be turning neon blue, whatever color that is. I don't know if it's going to be a turquoise or a dark one, but yet you see that it just looks white here. So what's up with that? There also are some talk about the fin turning purple, And I did see one video where there was like a flash of like royal purple on this fin thing. So I think this is still incubating, and we'll see it later. But why is this fin up at the front so? It's so high, and then it's like cut off at the top, and it's a very weird dorsal fin. Okay, here's the behavior thought to warn marlins. Of course, this narrative could change, and the reason they do it might be something else later, but my hair is so itchy today. Stop. Okay, so see, that one looks brighter than, like, say, that one. I actually spent some time trying to find video of these that showed the blue and purple. I really didn't have much luck. Hot off the Mandela press. It's not done cooking in the oven yet. Why can't we feel pain at all? Do aliens feel pain? I would assume that it's sort of like the upvote, downvote system for training AI. Like, how do you get directed to go in a certain direction? Like, so the way they're training a lot of the AIs now is that you can upvote or downvote, and so that there's weight given to whether the user has given a vote or a downvote or not, with the idea that the AI is supposed to please the user. Well, in this case, the user is you, and the upvote, downvote is pain and pleasure. So if something gives you pleasure, you do more of it, and if it gives you pain, you do less of it. For the most part, that works pretty well. I mean, I think most of us put in a fair lot of effort to avoid pain. We might put up with a certain amount of pain with the idea that we'll get benefits that far outweigh that pain down the line. Then again, a lot of us don't even want to do that. I can't say that I'm the most disciplined person in the entire universe all the time either, so I'm not wagging fingers on that, but that's the idea. So if you didn't feel pain, I mean, wouldn't you just do stupid crap? Like, I'm going to cut off this finger. See what happened. I don't know. You know, you like say food tasted really good, but it gave you a horrible stomach damage. If you didn't feel the pain from the stomach, you would just eat that food anyway. Like, what do you care? Like, I don't. It's supposed to be bad for me. Screw that. Like, you remember as a kid when your mom said it's bad for you. Did you care? No. Now, if it hurt, now you care. So I think that's part of it. Now, the emotional pain thing, that is a whole philosophical thing. Because, I mean, clearly there's the survival of the fittest story would be that we are herd animals and we survive better in groups. And so over time, it has become the situation that we feel fear/pain if we don't fit into the group. So what do you, in order to fit into the group, because if you didn't fit in the group and you get kicked out, you would like die. So theoretically, all the people who said, screw the group, I don't give an F about you people, split off on their own, and most of them got wiped out. You need a certain amount of independence, but anybody who's completely independent and does not give an F at all, historically, are more likely to get wiped out. So then if they're now the upvote, downvote is pushing us to stay in the crowd. So what we would care about, other people liking us, pleasing other people, fitting into the norms. Otherwise, you might get kicked out. That's the theory. I don't know, I don't know now how much I trust the Earth narrative that magically shifts every 5 seconds versus there's some other spiritual force behind it. Like maybe we're being pushed to learn something, but it may not just be the group. Maybe it could be this, like, you just keep getting the same pain over and over until you learn how to get past that pain. Like, what is the thing that will make it so this pain doesn't happen anymore? So, say people keep getting mad at you, each time is a pain, so you would be pushed to get along better. But it also pushes you to maybe care more about that person. Your choices, I guess, are... It's kind of tricky because then you have sociopaths who just apparently can't care about others, or maybe they're just really early in their spiritual development. Because even sociopaths I've known, they had a little bit of caring on some, like maybe they liked their cat, sort of. Like they had some concern about the well-being of the cat. Not as much as, say, the average cat owner, but they weren't completely sociopathic. So maybe they're just early in the system and they need another couple hundred lifetimes. I'm not sure, but true. But you can't. What? But can't you make your body regenerate? Not in the current reality. So again, if there weren't like kind of serious consequences, wouldn't you just be more likely to go, nah, F it, screw that shit. Like if I lost my finger, but it'll grow back. I'm going to do risky crap. But the more risky crap you do, the more you're likely to just die. And then that is not good for survival of your genetics. So could be that. I don't know. There's a lot of question now that I have about like what is our purpose on Earth and what are we supposed to be learning. I mean, certainly from the spiritual perspective, the goal would be to learn like love, unconditional love, the deeper love that is not the gimme stuff I want and say you love me love, but like actual true deep caring for others. So that seems like the most likely to me. But I'm on the flip side, I am not 100% convinced that every last person on Earth has that original goal. Might not be. Yeah, just wait. In a few weeks, there'll be a bunch of pics of this thing with neon flashing stripes. Yes, that's what I'm thinking, and that's one of the reasons I did try to find it. Do aliens feel pain? Oh, I see. I don't. That is such an interesting question because, first of all, maybe they're interdimensional. So, do they have bodies? Does their physics even work like us? I mean, do they have like water, and do they eat potato chips or whatever, tuber chips, or or maybe it's just completely different physics. So kind of seems like, from what I've heard of like metaphysical travelers and stuff, that the physics might be completely different. I think it's still going to have some kind of upvote, downvote thing that encourages them to learn a specific thing, or will there be some other method? If they're super, super alien, will be able to communicate with them. Like, say, this piece of paper was sentient, like how would I be able to communicate with it if it wasn't able to mind read or something? I don't know. Like, there's a point, like say there's flickers of this on the surface of the sun. They would be so alien that we would maybe never be able to even figure out they're alive, not to mention communicate. So there might be a point where they're too alien. I think they're teaching us stuff. Yeah, I tend to believe that we're here to learn, but also just to like experience, which is part of learning. I mean, the best kind of learning is when you're really curious and you just want to know. It's not like when your teacher makes you sit there and they're going to smack you with a ruler if you don't obey. That's not like, I don't think that's really the learning we come here for, but we are on a trajectory that they teach us stuff along the way. Yeah, or we teach ourselves too, maybe. I don't know. That's an interesting question. Who doesn't like cats? Sociopaths. Actually, I know like there are a percentage of people who don't like animals, don't like cats. I kind of get it with cats. If you say you got scratched really bad by a cat when you were young, maybe you're just fearful of them. I've definitely met people who didn't like dogs. Even the sweetest, kindest dog, and part of it was because they had a bad experience and they were scared. Cats can be kind of like little Hitler sociopaths themselves, quite often, like, give me what I want. And I'm cute, give it to me. And you put up with it because it's a cute cat, but if a human did that, you'd be like, get the F out of here. Did you see the bird name? Oh, wait. Maybe I missed it. Oh, okay, this is the bird name. Okay, got it. I was kind of slow on the update. How come it won't let me? Oh, I'm trying to like highlight it. All right. You know, one thing is risky is going to YouTube. Bird. And trying not to get some song I'm not allowed to have. I think that's the one that I couldn't hear it. All right, let's try this one. I don't... Oh, so he does a weird thing like he's gonna barf while he does his song. Of course he does. See, it's not making the sound. You guys can't hear it, right? It says the sound's on. For some... Maybe it's just the shorts. Let me see. So I was just watching. I don't hear anything. This is not good. Oh, here. Wait. I did do this earlier. Now, I didn't have that one I was checking earlier before the show. All right, here we go. Here we go. Let me find the part where he looks like he's barfing. Barf out the sound. The call. Shockingly metallic.
So you can hear.
Don't want to hear your yapping.
Are and all.
Shut up.
Animal.
I just want to hear the bird, not the human.
Tail feathers.
Shut it.
Each one.
All right, that's it. I don't want to hear this woman. Look, it makes it sound like they're going to give you the sound, and then I have to listen to 3 hours of this woman yapping. This one might barf it out quicker. Or not. Nope. Maybe we'll go back to the original one. Huh. Why do you barf? Okay, it doesn't sound that weird though. I don't know. Am I missing something here? Okay. This one makes... Let's see what this one sounds like. Oh, okay. Okay. Alright. That's not the weirdest one I've heard, but I think you guys could hear that, right? Entities can make our bodies regenerate magically like those fish. I do think we're totally capable of regenerating. First of all, like I knew that person I told you about that. They were diagnosed with cancer, and there was cancer on the radiograph, and then they scheduled like further treatment. And then they went, and the next imaging, they couldn't find it. And then they went back to the original radiograph to get a better idea where it was. And it wasn't on that one either. And so everybody's like, what the F? Because they remembered, all of them remembered seeing it on the radiograph. So that was It was weird too, because I'm like, isn't that really weird? What do you mean it wasn't on there? You know, like it's a miracle. It's weird. Isn't that the strangest crap? You'd think they'd want to talk about. They're like, oh, I don't know. You know, like they just, okay, it's gone. I don't know. You know, they don't want to talk about it. I was like, this is a breach in reality, but. And I've definitely heard of people who had like a cancer and then it just went away. So if a cancer can just go away, then I don't see anything really stopping us from regenerating. It was just a story that we couldn't. And some things are starting to regenerate, like the ribs can regenerate, the tips of fingers can regenerate. So we're on the way. Liver, some organs now. Yeah, I'd muted it there, but earlier I did not have that one muted, so before the show started. Yeah, it is, but I've definitely heard, like, have you heard that, what's that big bird that showed up? Why is my head so stupid? I can't remember the names of everything today. It sounds like machine gun fire. Wait, let me find that. I think that's one of the weirder ones. Then again, I think that's beak clacking, but still it's pretty bizarre. So this thing showed up, oh yeah, Shoebill stork. Other birds also produce staccato calls that can sound like automatic weapons. This is a new one. Okay. So Shoebill was one of the early popular Mandelas. There's like, what in the F? Sound. First it shows up, and then later it started with this weird machine gun thing. And then it does this weird bowing thing. It didn't do that when it first showed up. It like bows to you and stuff. And they're huge, these things.
If you bow your head to...
Quiet. See, now I have to get rid of this sound. Wait. Well, then I guess, yeah, there's no point. The trouble is there's background music and stuff. I can have trouble. Them's not small birds either. I think I would be maybe a little more scared of that thing than the average cat or dog. Because you know what? Those bird beaks, they will mess you up. And birds are kind of erratic and crabby boys. Like people I know have pet birds, the bird will like, I like that guy and I hate all you, and they'll try to bite other people. And I agree it sounds really weird, that other one, but now we have these weird mimic birds that can sound like anything. They can just sound like any human sound. Here we go. So yeah, we'll be waiting for the striped marlin to show its colors, which I believe will be neon blue stripes and a purple top fin. All right, now I'm trying to think if I covered this one. I think I might have, but Jackie found it again, and hey, why the heck not? Just in case. There are now these children who look like they're born, they look like females with female genitalia, and then at 12 they magically grow a schlong and become a male. And there's this whole storyline where they're missing an enzyme that is needed to grow the schlong, And then, but somehow at 12, when they get that new burst of additional male hormone, somehow then it works, which, speaking of regenerating, you know, you've not regenerated, but generated a whole ding dong, you know, at 12. And so they're called, what's that word? Guevedoches. I think dolce is like 12, so I will, you can kind of guess what that other word might mean. And it means, the P, you know, ding dong at 12. Ding dong at 12, children. And these apparently are somewhat common in the Dominican Republic, where it's genetic tendency. It doesn't seem like they have any health issues from it, but maybe, you know, there might be psychological issues. Some of them are used to being a female up until 12, and now they have to make the transition. Other ones are like, yeah, I always like doing man stuff, so I'm glad to be a man, and they're fine. They do interestingly make the comment that the majority of these that turn out to be male at 12 were like, they did ask masculine before that. So they're saying that there's an argument that it's like tendencies do have a strong genetic bent to it. So these, you know, these are poor areas where they never had genetic testing. So if a child is born and looks like a female, you as a female. You're assigned, literally assigned, I guess now in this reality, female. And they don't know that they're not female. So they treat them just like females. So they should act the same as all the other females if there is no genetic predisposition. But no, they do act like males. Not all of them. I tend to think it's a sliding scale where there's genetics is a strong influence, but then there's just other factors, personality, sociological training, and stuff like that. All factors that go into the soup. At puberty, they undergo masculinization, voice deepening, blah, blah, blah. No male pattern baldness. Let's hope not. Most famous in Dominican Republic, similar cases of 5-alpha reductase deficiency have been identified in populations Papua New Guinea, Turkey, and Egypt. They have a name for them. If they have a name for them, turnums. Turnums. I don't know. I'm sure it means something else in their language, but I'm like, it's kind of a funny name in English. Turn hymns. They turn into a hymn. We might find more of this. I think in the future we'll see more. Maybe even a reverse one. So I think the 5-alpha reductase deficiency was what they said that one... there was that one boxer in the Olympics that there was a big rumor that was actually a male, and the women are like, that's a male, and they never really tested this person, and then they're like, you're racist, you're whatever, if you don't think this is a female, and then it turns out that person had 5-alpha reductase deficiency, did not grow the schlong, but the thing is that they will still... this reductase basically operates just on the schlong. So this deficiency doesn't really greatly affect your like strength and all your other masculinization at puberty. So that person is basically a male in every way except for the schlong. And so you have a female going up against a male, and obviously males punch a lot harder and stuff. What hell? They say it's genetic, so yeah, I don't know. Oh yeah, the hook. So when the Shoebills first showed up, they didn't have that hook. Yeah, it definitely had. It's curled and it's gotten, I don't know, like it looks kind of mossy or crusty on the top. And when it first showed up, it didn't have that on there. They didn't do the weird bowing and the weird. Yeah, they're basically are boys. That's correct. They are boys, but no, they just look like girls because the schlong didn't grow. So yeah, their chromosomes did not change. And that guy in the Olympics, see, that was the thing that they're saying that you just do some basic DNA testing on the Olympians to make sure that the XYs are XY and the XXs are the XXs. They're like, oh no, that's so invasive. I'm like, dude, you make them pee into a cup and you test their urine for 5,000 different kinds of drugs. I think you could just check and see if they're like an XX or an XY while you're doing all that other stuff. And so this particular Olympian had actually been refused in Russia, one of their events, because they did the test and they said this person is not a female. And so then they're like, oh, the evil Russians probably lied. And it's like, you know what? There's a point where you can't just cling on to your political opinion no matter what. And both sides do this, where they just do this elaborate dance of rationalization in order to not admit they were wrong. So it turned out that they were wrong. Has anybody checked their DNA before and after? It sounded like they did. I mean, they have the whole narrative that it's tested. That would be an interesting thing if it changed, though, because I wouldn't be shocked if later they said, well, actually, we never really checked. And then, I mean, weirder things have happened in Mandela land. All right, let me just do, okay, cool. I'm sure that it said that they tested. But then again, you don't know which one's a guevedoche until after they switch over, right? So maybe they didn't all get tested. This autosomal recessive genetic disorder impairs the production of 5-alpha reductase, an enzyme responsible for converting testosterone into DHT, which is what you need to grow a schlong. Mutations in the SRD5A2 gene prevent the body from producing sufficient DHT. Affected chromosomes have one X and one Y, confirming they're genetically male from conception. But due to the lack of DHT, they look female. Hides child sex. Okay. And we don't have the reversals yet. I think we will get them. So now they really are assigned at birth. Yeah. The whole thing was weird. I mean, like, the whole story of male and female is you got a schlong, you don't got a schlong. I mean, it's pretty much straightforward. You pop out. Hey, there's one on there. This is you. There's not one on. This is the... Nobody ever said that there aren't weird cases where there's mixed genetics or something didn't grow right. I mean, everybody always knew that, but it's basically assigning based on looks, and you either do, you have it, or you don't. So a lot of it is just semantics. Like, they change the semantics, and then they say, no, this is the new semantics. And then the old people are like, no, that's the old semantics, and I ain't changing it. The young people only know the new semantics, and they're like, why are you being evil? And then we're like, why are you being crazy? It's just semantics. It's like arguing over stupid crap. I mean, do you argue that most children are either born with or without a schlong? I don't think there's any argument there. But then that is what it decides. Let's argue about the definition of how the assigning is done, whatever. It's just not worth it. Obviously, when you assign, you're not saying, and now I know this person will love cooking because they don't have a schlong. You know, I mean, nobody ever said that. So it's like inventing something to argue about. That's my feeling on there. You change something and then you get mad. It's like the terminology, you know, it's like you change your definition for some race of people. Now you have to say this word instead of that word. This word was perfectly fine 5 years ago, but now if you use that word, you're a racist. You gotta keep up. Otherwise, you're a racist, which is ridiculous when you really think about it. Then, even worse, they'll go back in time and they'll go, look, you use that word. I'm like, everybody used that word back then. I think I said, like, not too long ago, I'm like, what word do I even use for these people? Because it's changed so many times in the last 5-6 years that I'm afraid to even identify them at all, because I'm not sure the proper identifier. And I spent some time looking through Reddit, and I'm like, now it's so complicated. Man, I'm just looking at this. So that I wasn't sure. I'm like, ugh. Reality is just ridiculous. All right, so Guevedoches. Hopefully I'm saying that right. Jackie found that one. I think I might have had that on once. It sounds familiar. There's been so many I've been on for so many years now. The last... Okay, so this one is from Taro Eto, our friend in Japan. Good find. So this is The Last Supper. And so they pointed out right away that this wall turned really light. And yeah, I totally see that. I'm like, wait a effing minute. Now, apparently this is the actual wall. There was a point where the wall itself was so degraded that you couldn't see crap. I think this is the actual wall now. You can kind of see crap. I mean, it's not ideal. I'm just looking at this guy like... his nose and stuff. That guy. There was a thing I saw lately called moon haircut, and this guy like has it. I'm like, what happened? Why is his nose like so? Why are all their noses like? This guy's nose is really creepy. If you saw a guy with a nose like that, this guy's is even worse. Why are they all bent like this? Actually, I'm like really noticing that now. They all lay on their face. This guy's is really... It's like, it comes out and then it's like... This guy is actually ridiculous. And look at... It's so tiny on the end. That it doesn't even look... Now, the one that is sometimes... Well, looks just like female. Some say that was Mary. Okay. They all have pointy noses, too. Okay, so Jesus doesn't have the bent around nose, but... Oh, wait a minute. Okay, wait. Let me just go over here. I want to see if Jesus has food. All right, we're back in the no food for Jesus reality, it looks like. I don't see anything. Now, what I remember is Jesus had a big plate here, and then there were small plates over there. Now there's these two small plates, but a big plate out here. And there was not 3 plates in front of him. There does look like there's a molecule of something. So maybe there's one tiny bite. I don't know what would be. Like, it's like a dog kibble. He gets a dog kibble. Okay, so these got higher over here. Now there's a clear pattern here, so I can finally say that I still have no idea what that is. But, and this thing up here, I don't know what that is. The pattern here used to kind of, I don't know. It looks like it's a carpet now, actually. I'm going to have to look and see if there's more. I see a clear Persian carpet pattern style where I have not ever seen that in any of them before. So I feel like this has shifted a lot. The other thing is there's now 4 of these, I'm going to call them carpets. We were for a while trying to figure out if they're alcoves or carpets or panels. But there's 4 of them now. There was, I believe, only 3 before. I squeezed in another one. These got so tall. They've got a top thing now, so maybe I don't know what they're turning into, but there's more to it. And then we've got these over. Oh, that is clearly, it looks like there's a little mini hidden door in there. That is bizarre. So, what they like, it's a little, what the heck? Okay, or maybe it's a picture frame, but still, what? So it looks like there's an alcove. These are alcoves over here. This is interesting. It's the first time I had any idea what these were. There's a 3D-ness to it. There's a picture, a door. I don't know. What door is that tall? Let me see what's over here. Okay, can't see anything over there. So these also alcoves? It looks like maybe something fits in over here. But it could be an alcove with some weird thing behind it. But that's absolutely bizarre to have little mini alcoves. Okay. Here. This used to be way more prominent. So I've faded out. And that this thing was not there. Okay, you can see some rafters. I think also that this, it's taller now. So I believe that this, whatever the heck is going on up here, that was lower and came to like here. So these walls got taller and the ceiling got smaller. And frankly, I kind of feel like maybe the perspective looks kind of off because this looks so narrow and then there's this big wide table with bajillion people. Something's off. Okay, we got more pattern in there than we ever did before. All I ever saw was stripes before, but not pattern. You know, there was like this stupidly bright red crap. And I don't see it now. I'm gonna have to look and see. Maybe some of the other ones will still show it, but what is that? Was it like a cat up here? It almost looks like there's a cat. There's this, and then there's I might be just like seeing stuff where it's not there, but it almost looks like there's a cat head there. All right. So it's changed a lot. What is this schlop? There's a peach. I think that's a peach. These were potatoes before. Now it looks like there's a peach. Why do they just put them all on the edge of the table? Who makes a table like that? I'm just going to put fruit along the edge. Is that like a thing in this timeline? Okay, wait. That's identifiable as a likely slice of citrus. That is identifiable. I don't know. You can... I don't know. I might be stretching it with the identifiable, but okay, that looks like some fish. This glass, what in the heck is that? It looks like an anatomy experiment. So a lot of people remember way back that these were wood cups. This glass is more of a thing in here. Oh, this is interesting because actually these plates have colors and stuff. Before, they were just white plates. This looks like it's blue, and this one has a blue rim. Looks like it's blue inside. Oh, these ones have... God, it almost looks like those are metal with like blue inside dishes. So those have changed. More of the slices of like citruses. That looks like a tomato. Interesting. One thing you could say, it's not a potato. Why is this just sitting over? Oh, that's a cup. Okay, got it. All right, so what else has changed? Oh, you know what? There's little pinnings for this must be carpets now. Yes, you can see the little pinnings for the carpet, the hangings. That was not there. All right, so we know what those are now. And, you know, maybe some other timeline they were something else. But I do feel like the back has changed some. It's just subtle, but there's something a little bit different. Was there always 3? I'm kind of thinking maybe this was a door and 2 windows before. I'm not sure on that. There's something different about that, and there's something different about the mountains behind. So it has been a little while since we really looked at this. Oh, look at those weird toes. All right, so yeah, Taro's pointed out this. I don't know that that person saw other additionals, but I do. Let me just do a quickie search. Depictions of the last summer. Okay, so this is the Last Supper in question, the one in Milan, Italy. I think I remember. So there was a point where it showed up that it was actually way up here and there was a whole bunch more stuff going on. And I think that's what we're seeing here. And then this showed up in the middle where they had like put a door at some point. That was many years ago, but that wasn't on the original one. There was a point where I said, hey, wait a minute. The edges of the tablecloth are now tied. Interesting, because that one doesn't really look like it is now. Okay, so how do I get out of that? Wait. Let's see what else Wiki's got for us. Is that the original? Circa 1975. Oh, okay. So it has already been restored now? When was it restored? So just like 6 months ago, it was in way worse condition than this. And I don't recall any significant restoration. What's wrong with that guy's head? Oh, look, he's got no face. That's funny. No face. That guy's bendy face is still getting me, though. All right, so apparently now we're at that in 1975. It looked like this. Of course, you can't see anything. Okay, so I guess these are the bright colors, but why is it all green over there? I've never seen a thing where it's like all super green over here. Is it moss? But then if it's moss, why doesn't it grow on the faces? So what, the room was green now? That's weird. Detail head of Jesus after the... So 1999 they did a restoration. Okay. This is a lot better than it was for me 6 months ago, though. I guess that's what it looks like now. All right, that's it. I feel like, you know, the original one that way back, they said it held up pretty good. And then they're like, oh, no, it's deteriorating. And then we got through this timeline where it was so deteriorated that you couldn't see crap. It seems like we're kind of shifting out into this new reality where it's a little less crappy. So maybe that's the thing with the deteriorations. They deteriorate, and then they reconstitute in another form. That would be nice, because I kind of would like to see the Sphinx not suck anymore. Like, it used to be much better. Curly hair guy is new. Dupe, curly hair guy. Wait, let's see. Well, there's got to be 12, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I don't remember Chrome Dome over here. Oh, I think maybe it's just, you know, I thought there was like ringlets. Now he's like Afro Dude. I don't think there was any Afro Dude guys. But I didn't remember... like Smash Nose guy. This guy was always kind of super creepy. Is it like all the creepy ones have mashed noses? Why does this side have the bad noses? What's up with the noses? That guy looks like he's a bird. His nose is so sharp. This one, okay, it's big, but at least it's normal shape. This guy, I swear to God, his nose is curls under. This guy is a bird and it curls under. This guy's looks like it's just deflated. It's like the air has gone out of it. Of course, that one, which some say is Mary, but is not in this timeline, is perfectly, amazingly beautiful. So it's not that Da Vinci couldn't make a beautiful image, because there it is. So why are all these guys all creepy? Jesus is not too creepy, but he does have a bird nose. Because it's so sharp. Alright, this is in the normal range. A little sharp. Normal range. This one's like wide. Now that guy too, that guy looks like he hit a wall when he was a child. Huge nose. And then like, why is it like the cranium is out? That's weird. Your nose is supposed to stick out past your forehead, especially if you have a big nose. This is some crazy business. All right, so let me see what else you guys. Maybe you guys were talking about something else, but I find that door in front of it. Yeah, that one showed up. When did that show up? It was quite a number of years ago for me, but yes, that was a big Mandela. When did any of them have short curly hair? That's a good point. I thought there was like ringlets. I think all of these are long. I'm trying to remember on that guy. This one's weird because it looks like he has black hair here and it's fro style again. But then it looks like he has a brown beard. You can't tell on that dude. Chrome dome. I think this guy was chrome dome. I thought that guy had ringlets. So ringlets are not a thing anymore, I guess. I think I agree with you though. This is the only one I'm not sure. And I think maybe it was just too fuzzy. I couldn't tell. Let me just see let me go to Google. I'm going to have to see if I can find my original indicator photos and see what those look like. Derp, derp, derp. I really need to look at my indicator photos. Interesting. Okay, we have deep colors, but they're not the neon obnoxious brightness that were in some of my timelines. There's no blue ones in that one. Let's see this one. Everyone, it was more like that. That was the obnoxiousness, I recall. The colors. You know, these windows, one of the things is getting me. I think these windows, they were like cut off right here. They didn't go all the way down. And that's, you didn't see all this. I think they were like little windows. So this one is sort of like the recreation of how we think it is. All right, these are clearly... This is interesting because these look like slightly inset carpets, but you could clearly see on the other one that there was little pins. What's this cat doing here? They snuck a cat in. That's not in the original. I think this is not the first time there was suddenly a cat. Are we going to get a cat? Because there was a cat up here. If we get a cat, I'm losing it. See, they just slipped a cat in here, but... Alright, see, there's no cat there. They just, what, they just popped a cat in there to see if you'd notice? Alright, it's in front of Jesus's hand. Yes. Meow. I think I've gotten suddenly shocked by that cat before. Did they... Cats are just gonna show up randomly in them? Was that the same exact one that fooled me last time? Is there a cat? Alright, hold on. Is there a cat in Leonardo da Vinci's The Last Supper? Now, not like we can really trust the AI, but let's just see. No cat. Tintoretto's version includes cats. That might have been Tintoretto's version. Alright. Okay. Tintoretto's The Last Supper. Tintoretto's The Last Supper. Oh, well, that's totally different, though. It's not like I get fooled on that. Alright, suddenly cat. This is interesting because there's a big brown thing. Now, you could slide a cat into there. Alright, let's see. The spilled salt is symbolic. Eel or herring. Da Vinci used a hammer and a nail to help him achieve the 1 point perspective. It's not 100% Da Vinci's work. Are they talking about the repairs? Restorer applied microscopic photographs, blah, blah. Okay. Critics maintain that only a fraction of the painting that exists today is the work of Da Vinci. Okay. 3 early copies of the original exist. Alright. This is Giampietrino. Open image. Oh, okay. Some weird carpets. These look like they're little doors. Okay. But why are they like really short doors on that side and taller doors over here? And then the perspective on the original is really weird if these are supposed to be doors, because this doesn't make sense. The perspective is wonky. They can't be doors. I mean, like, what are they, like the magical tiny elves doors? Okay. Andrea Solari. All right, let's see what that person's work got. All right. No cuts. Those things are dark holes. Looks like I don't know what's going on with these, but there's no way that some famous artist would just put like goofy crap in the corner and then it's not a door, it's not a window, it's not a picture. Right. What was the other one? And then it was Cesar de Sesto. Cesar de Sesto copy. Oh. Wait. Wait a minute. Those are round. Is that even accurate? All right, that shows the original there. Oh, let me just get that one really quick. It's on the wiki. How did I not see that before? Oh, it's down here. All right, hold on. Oh, this is interesting. I'm trying to think. Was this like this before? I think it's changed what's in these things. Okay, so that is the original. And then those showed up on other walls at some point too. Well, it looks like there's more. It's like this thing is like filling out. I think eventually this whole thing is going to be all full of stuff. They did a satire on 70s show. Yeah, I bet if you look back at the 70s show, well, maybe it'll be residual, but probably they'll have moved more to this one because it's changed. Hook nose. Yeah, hook nose. You know, so that dude, he's like this. He's like, he's got it like that, so it is all bizarre. It is only trying to please you by giving answers that you want to hear. No, because it does that, but it also people get mad and downvote if they get the wrong answer. So how accurate it is kind of varies depending on which one you use, but they are trying to get it so it gives accurate info. Now, I won't say that it always gives accurate info. Like DeepSeek, what it does is it'll praise you. That's how it tries to make you happy. It'll be like, oh, that's a good question, or it says it nicer than that. A very insightful question, and then it'll give you the answer. The room looks totally different. This room, you mean? Or the other room? Because this one... I don't remember these glass things. I thought it was wide. You know what? Yeah. You know, actually... Yeah, actually... I thought this was like up high somehow. Now that you mention it. And I don't know how there'd be a door up high, but I do remember it being all up high. I think this was the version I got last time I looked, but back further, I thought this was up higher. I also don't remember this, whatever this is, like this white part along the bottom. I don't remember that. I don't remember there being wreaths. Yeah, the whole thing keeps changing. Ooh, crazy town. That room looks so boring. I know. So for me, it was originally like this wood table with wood cups and wood grain, and there was like a torch for lighting, like one of the old torch and with flame. And then there was all this interplay of the lighting on the wood, and it was like a much lower roof, like you would kind of imagine, you know, the old days where they would just had, you know, rough-hewn beams, which now would be considered quite beautiful, but was just rustic back then. That's how it was way back for me, way back. The doorway was taller, so the mural was higher. Ah, okay, okay. Yeah. I don't know what's going on with it. I didn't even know what they were, those little mini between the carpets things, until now is the first time I've even clearly identified that it is like an alcove thingy. And, you know, I mean, the next shift, maybe it won't be anymore. It's just, it's crazy town. It really is crazy town. But, I mean, you can clearly see now that this is, like, way lighter, and this is kind of bluish darker. And then it's got to be narrower now because the walls are higher. So, like, way down here, you have 3 windows, and somehow how are you getting 12 people in front of 3 windows, and those windows don't look wide? So that's why I'm like, the perspective is all weird in here, and I'm not like a perspective expert, but I just don't see how you get 12 people, unless the room itself is like this, it's not square, you know, that doesn't make any sense. So it's the encrapification of the old things. Hopefully they'll come back and suck less. Room of the Last Supper. Okay. Doink. Yeah, see, this was like, I remember there was like a tall church thing, and it was way up there. So you're like, I don't know what this is. This looks creepy. There's like these weird... That's weird looking. That must be looking at it from another angle, but it's bizarre. Doink. Alright, so it keeps changing like by magic. Like, who would have a room this high and then so narrow? Even in the current timeline, that's not popular to have. It just doesn't have good feng shui or something. If you have a wide room, you can have it high, but you don't have it like... What, are you going to have 20-foot tall people in there or something? It doesn't even make sense. Now, if you had it down here... I mean, like, it's... And it's not a cathedral. I mean, if they made this look like a beautiful cathedral, you could kind of see it being really high, but it looks like it's just like... And what even construction is this? Like, ancient construction, it just looks like metal grids or something. The whole thing is just weird in this timeline. And ever since that ceiling showed up, I'm like, what even is that? It looks like the past tried to predict the future modern. Like, it's like the futuristic style of Da Vinci times. Okay, so let's see. I ran into this. We have discussed that there's weird islands showing up in the Strait of Hormuz, and one of them was bright red, and apparently they eat the soil. The soil is edible. That we looked at this island before, but I didn't notice the edible soil, of course. So they're saying it's full of iron. And they make this stuff called soorag. Soorag? I don't know how to say that. S-O-O-R-A-G-H. And soorag is a deep crimson sauce with a particular minerality that is native to Hormuzgan region, specifically to Hormuz. A teardropped island in the Persian Gulf. Okay, so it's the island of Hormuz. The main ingredient is gelak, or the edible red earth, a soil on Hormuz's surface. So the island of Hormuz, they eat the soil now, and it's called gelak, and they use it to make sorag. And then they're saying, well, there's other soils, but they don't taste good. The other colors of soil on the island don't taste good, but this one tastes good, and it has full of iron, so they're like, well, it's probably got important iron nutrients. So here is some of the bread made with dots of sorag, shows off Hormuz's vibrant gelak soil. Okay. If you don't have a lot of iron in your diet, and maybe they don't have a lot of red meat, it would make sense to eat some off the soil. Okay, so a lot more images. So that's the latest. You eating the dirt. Who is killing these researchers? Oh, that's such an interesting narrative. Yes, it's going to bring more attention to the whole UFO narrative. I don't know if you got... Yeah, David Wilcock, that guy died. And from what I saw, and as best I can tell, it's legit. It's not 100% verified. But they said that his co-author of his book, sometimes referred to as his biographer, so maybe that guy was the main writer and Wilcock was the main, story generator, that the biographer died 2 days before Wilcock died, and then it's all vague about how he died, and I don't know what's going on, but I mean that's pretty bizarre if he dies right after. Well, maybe they'll say, oh, he was so upset that his biographer died that he committed the voluntary unaliving, but then he's on record saying, I will not unalive myself. So yeah, it's very weird. David is the third UFO guy. So, it's tricky for me. I was like, how many UFO guys are there? Like, can we identify every guy that counts as a UFO guy? Are there 500 of them? Are there 200? Are there 100? How old are they? And what is the average death rate of, people in that age range, and calculate how many we would expect to die? And I don't think we can do that without AI helping or something. But some of these stories are really weird. So there's UFO guys, and before that there was a bunch of guys working on anti-grav. So again, that brings a lot of attention to the anti-grav narrative, and then we got a lot of attention on the UFO. So I think it's growing these two narratives. It's putting more attention on anti-grav and the UFO. So maybe we'll get, stuff will show up, and then there'll be a question. Is that USA anti-grav secrets, or is it UFOs? And it'll be kind of vague and unknown for quite some time, and that'll let everybody have their narrative. Those who want it to be UFOs, it can be UFOs. Those who don't want it to be UFOs, they can say, oh, that's just black op tech. No official report from family or coroner. Yeah, there. So let's see. Quite some time ago, before the Mandela, even a number of years before I got into Mandela, I was into remote viewing and the military people. I even took classes from Buchanan, who was one of the top military guys. I have met McMonagle. Certainly he wouldn't remember me, but I did meet him and talk with him several times. And some of the other main players, I've also been to the Monroe Institute. And one thing that was weird was there was this woman, let me make sure this still even happened, named Gabby Pettingale. And it's interesting because normally I wouldn't have thought I could pull up her name when I can't even remember the name of calming stuff. But suddenly, this thing, Pettingale, slammed into my head. Pettingale. I was getting ready to say I can't remember her name, and there it was in my head. Okay, Pettingale? I thought it was Gale. Pettingale. I'm very suspicious that it was Pettingale, not Pettingale. Okay, but we'll go with it because I'm pretty sure that's the same one in this timeline. And we did call her Gabby. That was her nickname. So she was getting involved on the military side, and they were going to have this... there was a conference coming up, and they were going to have some kind of really cool information that was going to be let out. And there was kind of like they were teasing it. And then Gabby Pettingale died right before, and she was heavily involved. Then the story was that she was driving on a rainy road, and there was a car accident, and she was killed. And that is the story. And then when the conference came, there really wasn't crap. Nothing was released. There was nothing of interest at all. And a lot of people are like, very weird. So I, at the time, had thought maybe she's just been like recalled to go to deep black ops and she's not really dead. You know, but maybe they did kill her. I don't know. Maybe it was an accident. I don't think it was an accident. The whole thing was very suspicious. Tragedy hits RV. I think I was a little bit out of it. Yeah, see, it was that in 2002 already? Riding home with Girl Scout leader. The interstate was slick with rain. Car coming the opposite way. Hydroplane spun out. Yeah, that is the story. I do remember something about hydroplaning. Gabrielle was killed instantly. The woman who was actually driving is still in a coma. Gabby left active duty from Fort Meade in 1987. She was my key. Oh, this is somebody who... Oh, this is from Paul H. Smith. Okay, this is Paul. Paul H. Smith was one of the other military remote viewers. Like, for reals. I mean, there's some people who claim they were military remote viewers, and there's no really evidence that they were, so maybe they were, maybe they're just lying, because if it's not public information, you know, anybody can claim anything. But Paul H. Smith was one of those that it is public information that he was in it. I did briefly meet this guy. Didn't speak to him really, though. All right, so she died, and he's talking about her. She was director of operations at Remote Viewing Institute Services. I think that was his. Most of these guys have their own little mini company where they teach remote viewing. And then charge, you know, like, oh, $1,000, I'll charge a 3-day training for $1,000, and there'll be like 6 or 7 other people there. I think that's him. So she worked for him then. Director of Ops for Remote Viewing Instructional Services. Opening speaker for the RV conference that had been upcoming. Okay, that's right. There was that experiment. The time of her death, we were involved in a very successful ARV experiment, which will now never be completed. Like, you know, you could like release the how much you had gotten. Was a lieutenant colonel in the Army Reserve as a tactics instructor. Girl Scout leader. Okay, here's the bio. So anyway, she died. Timing was really weird, and a lot of us are like, She wasn't really involved in the remote viewing. Oh, can't be found. And then she just sort of got onto the scene for a few years, and then she was dead. Dead. So, Pettengill. That's what we're looking at. Pettengill. Not Petito. Arvis. Okay, that was her. Gabby was an integral part of Stargate during her time. All right, so she was a viewer. That's interesting, because I'm kind of fuzzy on that, but she sort of showed up on the scene after I already was sort of out of it. Military installation. Okay, so they're claiming she was one of the viewers in the program. Very interesting. So she was one of the original. An accomplished remote viewer, she became an assistant instructor and project manager after returning from Russia. She then worked for Arthur Anderson for 3 years. Before moving with her husband and children to Moscow, Russia, where she taught modern Western business principles. Before departing for Russia, Gabby worked as a freelance remote viewer. I don't know, that's interesting. I don't remember anything about Russia. But she was killed in a tragic accident as she returned home from taking her daughter to Girl Scout camp. Okay, so anyway, the thing is, like, this whole accident thing, you know, I always wondered, is she just alive and they've just announced this, like, so that she's going to disappear and go into, get a new identity, the old identity is dead, you know, I don't know. I read the news daily and I think how people can't see how odd everything is. I do feel like it's gotten a lot weirder, but you know, the Bible said there's the strong delusion where people just get sucked into this weird fog, like they just can't see out of it. I mean, I've met people like that before where they'll just cling on to something that doesn't make a lot of sense. And I'm not even going to say I've never done it, because I have done it. And then later I kind of went, why did I make those dumb assumptions? Like, I met somebody once that I was dropping my packages off at the post office, and they also were a person like me, but they did eBay, and I was talking to her, and she thought, well, I always want my stuff to sell in 3 days. So I price it really low. And I'm like, well, you know, it's a lot of work doing all that. If you price it so low, you don't make that much money. What about wanting to sell them within 7 days, but earning like more money? Like, have you ever thought about maybe some of the more valuable things, like sitting on them a little longer, especially if they're smaller, so they don't take up a lot of room, and sit on them and try to get double, and, you know, you'll earn more money. And she's like, no, it has to sell in 3 days. And it was like weird, like, it's God, you know, it was like weird. And it was like, so that was kind of the thing where, like, it's not logical, you know, but she was sucked into that reality. She just had that narrative. She could not get out of that narrative. So I kind of see more and more of that around here, like people just ignoring counter arguments and clinging on to the least likely argument, and this is what it is, this is how it is. There's just more and more of it. And then if you try to point out like obvious flaws in their reasoning, they're just like, oh, no, don't, like, I can't hear you, you know. Like, I don't expect them to go, oh yeah, you're right, I was wrong. But like, they won't even hear the most obvious alternative explanation. See, like, if that woman had said, well, you know what, I don't really have that much room, and blah, 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 and, you know, I really just don't want to change. I could get that, but it was like, no, wah, 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 wah. You know, like, the whole, even the response was, like, kind of crazy. I think the original orange man is long gone and it's just look-alike. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with him. He definitely has thrown a lot of his old stances out, but you know, that guy reminds me a lot of my old boss, and my old boss would say stuff for a while and then it wouldn't work out. He'd get mad and he'd just do a whole nother thing. And so I wouldn't exactly be shocked if that happened to the orange, because I don't feel like he was ever that, and he was basically telling you a narrative that would get him elected, I think. So like the old, we're not gonna invade the Middle East and those things. Let's face it, he's a politician like all the rest, and they tell you stuff that plays well to their base and maybe pulls in some of the moderates, and whoever manages to keep their base happy but pull in a lot of moderates wins. And then they try to, you know, a lot of times they won't actually do it once they're in, but he's just been really blatant about it. And the other thing is, he's just been so blatant and rude to people. Now, he's always been blatant and rude to people, but then they were perceived enemies, like the far left. They were never going to vote for him anyway. So when he was blatantly rude and obnoxious to those guys, the right-in like kind of was laughing about it. But now he's doing it to them because they dared disagree. And so now they're like, now they're feeling it, you know. And that's kind of the thing. The orange, he's just not good at tailoring his message a little bit more, and that is really hurting him. Now, my old boss was like this. If people turned against him, he would just go nuclear. And that might also be what's happening. So I'm actually not really shocked at the stuff he's doing, because it fits. Every time I wonder what the orange is doing, I just think of my old boss. I'm like, if my old boss was in this situation, what would he do? And it was like pretty much the same thing. He would have done the same thing. So there you go. So my feeling was, he tried to get peace and it didn't work out. So then he's like, F you, I'm going to kill you then. That is something my old boss would have taken the attitude. Like, I tried to be nice and you didn't go along with it. So now I'm going to ruin you. But often, like my old boss, he just let anger rule, and he would try to ruin people he couldn't ruin. He would do illegal stuff. He'd get in trouble. I overhear neighbor arguments that it drips pure madness. Yeah, there is a lot of that. I think some of it is me waking up more, like I see through more. But it does look like some of us are waking up and then the other batch are getting more insane. That's kind of my feeling of how it's going. And behavior is the same. Some people are, like Marjorie Taylor Greene isn't a good example. She was actually pretty mean and did a lot of the Trump meanness early on. And now it looks like she's eaten a bunch of humble pie. At least that's how it looks like to me. And she realized her mistakes in a lot of things. And now she sits there and she sounds way more reasonable. And she's not like being really mean to people. And so I mean, I can't say for sure it's not a big act, but it looks like she's one of the ones that have kind of woken up a little and realized the mistake, and then, but other ones, like certain warhawks have gone full on lunatic. The world is a mental asylum. Yeah, there's definitely a lot of crazy people, but I don't know. If we're gonna split timelines, and according to the Bible, there's going to be a split, the wheat from the chaff, and the strong delusion is what's going to contribute to that, because it says, like, people will believe what they want to believe, and God will let them, like, be deluded into their desires. So I actually kind of wonder if everybody will turn out right. So, like, say I think that, there's a lot of good people and maybe humanity could evolve a little and be better. Okay. So hopefully I turn out right. That is my hope, Now I have fears that the other thing might happen, but I try to dwell in the positive. Like, please, this is what I really want. I worry about this, but I really want this. Okay. So say I'm right. I go there. And then another guy says, no, you're stupid. Everybody's evil, and we're gonna have the post-apocalyptic nightmare, blah, blah, blah. We'll say maybe they'll be right too, and they'll be all like, yeah, I told you, you guys were all stupid, you like lovey-dovey flower children idiots. I was right, I saved up food, I'm gonna live for 3 years as long as nobody shoots me and steals my food. And they'll go to the post-apocalyptic horror world, and they'll think they're right, and I'll think I was right. Everybody will think they're right. So that's why I say, like, be really careful about where you put your attention, because if there's a bunch of timelines, we all could end up right, every last one of us. So what do you want to be right about? I want to wake up in a sane timeline where everybody gets to where they should be at. Well, like, according to my scenario, you could argue that is everybody ending up where they should be. So, but the question is, where should you be? And that is the thing you have the most control over. Where should you be? And so we need to figure out the parameters of how we get places, and how we go there, and that stuff. Like, I feel like I kind of have a general concept of how it works, where it's like attracts like. If you're a good person, you go to the good person place. If you're in the middle, but kind of mostly a good person, overall, you're like more good than bad, you're going to go with those types. If you're like just bomb them back to the Stone Age, I hate them, they're evil, then you're going to go to the reality where everybody bombs everybody back to the Stone Age. I don't want to go over there, thank you. The midterm is going to be a S show. Yeah, I don't know. You know, I don't see any... I have not voted for either side for some time. But I still tend to have one like, maybe this one will be less sucky. But every time it's like, oh, you know, I don't want either one of these to win. Giant meteor from space for president. And I'm almost afraid to say that because maybe we'll get one, you know. It's like if a giant meteor from space does hit Washington, I'll feel kind of bad after all the jokes. I remain optimistic. Yeah, I think that's a good idea, no matter how bizarre. I think it's possible because we see that stuff can magically change, and we do see that humongous threats to civilization have like Arctica's melting of the ice have magically disappeared. So no matter how crappy it is, no matter how bad it looks, we have seen again and again that the problem can just magically fix itself. So it can happen again. Rep and Dem, two sides of the same coin. That is the current narrative that is gaining a lot of power. And it is an interesting one. If we're going to revamp reality, then we need to tear down the old structure. And that is a route to that. So that's why I find that interesting. Complete distrust and dislike of the current system could lead to a whole new system. You know, hopefully better. Trust is best earned. They have not earned mine. Yeah. So that's the big one. And the hardest one for me is like, we need to somehow have a reason to believe that it could get better. And so like, if everybody is just greedy and evil and mean, and the more I see that, the harder it is to believe that. But maybe if we go, wait a minute, it turns out that it was 5G radiating your brain, nutrient deficiencies, toxins in the food, all run by the evil gray lizard people, and it, you know, and we didn't have a chance, but if we can fix some of these things, then we'll be better. Okay, you know, that, I guess, you know, then you go, okay, we just need to fix this issue that was plaguing us, and then we'll be better humans, and then we'll shift over to more responsible behavior. So if that shows up in the narrative, which I kind of feel like it very much is bubbling up, then there could be a narrative where, like, we're really not this evil. We've just been, like, irradiated and intoxicated, and our brains are rotting because of all that. But that's not us. That is, like when a dog gets rabies, you know, the dog wasn't really that bad until the rabies made him do it. Feels like something's going to pop. Yeah, I don't know. So far, every shift has been, like, there's been fits and starts, but it's still been somewhat gradual. So I don't know if they're going to have a day where, like, suddenly boosh, that's all different. I don't tend to think so, because it seems like it's really hard energetically. Each shift is exhausting, and each shift requires additional adaptation by us. So I feel like that we're going into, like, bit by bit. So I tend to say that I think that it'll go bit by bit. And the other thing is that it changes. Things change at a different time for everybody. So maybe I'll have my my big switch over where I'm, you know, doing better today, and somebody else might get it 2 years from now. So yeah, Eva. I think I would really suck in politics, because I would just say, you know, I would say it straight. I know. And I don't know if I could really keep my brain on all the very miserable little, to actually do a good job. You know, you both got to constantly cater to your public perception, but run things really smart in the background, and it's a whole bunch of detail work. And I don't know. I think I might be good at helping. I would not want to be like the main guy, that's for sure. I'm not good at schmoozing in public stuff anyway. I could give speeches, but as far as just day-to-day schmoozing, I'm terrible at that. Something about the 25th upcoming this Saturday. All my alarm bells are going off, and I cannot figure out why. Well, we'll see. Now, in the past, sometimes there was something we thought was like not it, that when we look back, we're like, maybe that was something like that. When the Mayan calendar ran out in 2012, and then the world was going to end, and then it didn't, and we're like, wah, wah. But there was some kind of weird shift then, it seems like, because suddenly there was more Mandelas, and then the narrative was, wait, it never said the world was going to end. It said the world was going to change. And that seemed like a Mandela to me, because now there's this whole new narrative. So, I mean, back then I probably would have said, oh, that's just copium. You're reinterpreting it so that you can make yourself look less stupid. But a whole bunch of people were musing on the end of the world in 2012. All together, they were all thinking about it. All over the world were thinking about this. So that alone, I think, could have some effect. Wars and other happenings don't take long anymore. Instead of years, it's now weeks. Yeah, we're just slamming through the wars. And it's ridiculous. Like, this whole, like, Trump, I don't know, what is, that's one of the things I really don't get about it, is, like, every day Trump's on, like, on a Friday, oh, yeah, we're talking with the Iranians on a deal. I think we're going to have something real soon. And then the Iranians are like, no, we're not. What are you talking about? And then he's like, yeah, we are. It's like, are people just lying to him and he believes this? Or is he lying thinking we'll believe this? Is he in a reality where it's true? Are they holding back reality from him? Is he just saying this so that his relatives can game the betting markets? I don't know, but it's bizarre, because how can you get up there and just keep saying this stuff and it be absolutely wrong in an hour? It comes out that it's wrong, like, over and over again. Like, if that happened to me and I said, oh, I hear that we're in talks with the Iranians, and I think it'll go well, and then it was wrong, and then it's wrong like 5 more times in a row, I think I would then be like really cautious about saying it again. Like, no matter what my advisor said is happening, I would be just trustful of the narrative, and I'd be like, well, we're working on it. I wouldn't like stick my neck way out the 6th time after having it chopped off. But he sticks it out there just like the same. Yeah, the weekend one. Yeah, so it's just bizarre. Oh, we're going to have a meeting, and then Vance is going over to Pakistan, then he doesn't go. I mean, it's like, it is the weirdest thing. That is one of the weirdest things to me. I'm like, what are you doing? Surely he won't do it again next weekend, and then he does. I think there are 2 factions involved, one of which cooperates with him and the other doesn't. I don't know. So, like, the rumors keep shifting, and it could be different in every timeline. But one of the rumors is that they're just not telling him the truth. They're just telling him what he wants to hear. Okay, so maybe there's a little cabal of people. Like, if he's hanging out with Laura Loomer, she's pretty out, I don't know about her mental stability. So, who knows what's going on if it's Laura Loomer and a couple of people who are just trying to manipulate him into a certain direction. I feel both assassination attempts were him being put on his leash. So a lot of people are revisiting the first one with the ear thing, and I have been somewhat suspicious of it since that happened, that it was a fake. It was that was so that he could get popular. I'm brave. So if you look at it now, there's additional bits that suddenly came out after all these years, which just kind of how it happens. But right after, so there's a thing in WWE where they like slice themselves with a razor blade, and then they have fake blood. Okay, now I don't know if he'd actually slice himself with a razor blade, but you can just have a little blood packet. And so if you like make a bang noise, and then he goes, ah, and then he goes down and then pops a blood packet, and then there's blood, and then he's like, duh, and then like the flag, it was like the flag was lowered to be right in the picture, And then if you look now, it looks like his press was ushered over to the side to get his photo. There is no way, if that was real, that they would usher the press for photos. There's just no way they would. The Secret Service would kick all that press out of there, because you don't know if they're the shooter or what. So the whole thing looks effing fake right now. And I don't know if it always was, but it looks effing fake. I'm very suspicious that it'll turn out to be fake. Now, the second one, who knows about that, but, you know. It's looking very strange. If it was real, the shooter wouldn't have missed. No, so the fakeness would be that there would be a fake attempt on his life that nearly missed, so he could look brave and get votes. And that worked. It totally worked. And then that's why they had the pose. And there's a lot of suspicious stuff. So the whole game would have been run by Trump's people, Trump and his people, to make him look brave. And it worked. It did make him look brave. And so the Democrats, I'm going to have to give them the hat tip on this, because even though they might not have done it from genius smartness, but they immediately went, oh, that's fake. And it's because they didn't like him that it was easy to see that was the weird stuff there. But who picks short people? See, that's another thing that ironically makes me very suspicious, is that there were clearly some people in there that I would say would be like DEI hires or whatever. There were people in there, the Secret Service, who didn't know how to respond, and they were like, they were useless. And there were some women, hot-looking women, you know, that Trump likes those people on his employee, and he never had anything bad to say about any of them. Like, he never said, you know, we got to get better Secret Service. Look what happened. They didn't find the guy on the roof, because I would have been furious, you know. And I would have wanted an investigation, and why was this guy allowed to be on the roof, and who's the idiot who made these calls, and heads are going to roll, and I'm firing in that whoever made that decision. And, you know, Trump has got it in him to do that. You would think he would go after that crap. Like, you know, and he did it. So that's another thing that's really suspicious, that there were people on the Secret Service who looked clueless about how to respond. They didn't, like, that guy was on that roof, and there was another guy on the other roof. He didn't see the guy on the first roof. Everybody's pointing him out. Like, why didn't that guy on that roof see that guy? You know, I mean, like, the whole thing is, like, ridiculous. Season 50 of The Apprentice. Yeah. So I would just never trust any politician. I mean, I don't think you should blindly trust anybody that's a politician, because you don't know that guy, and their job is to tell you something to get your vote. That's their whole job. Now, maybe they are good, kind of good guys. Maybe they're not, but they're probably not, because they probably had to do so much crooked stuff to get to their position. So that is a big reason why I never trusted him. But I also never really liked him. But I didn't like the other side either, you know. So anyways, it's a mess. But, you know, maybe that's just what we need. We need it all to be insane, and then we revamp it. I think I got all of these. Kajika. I'll do that one next week. I have one more from Fresh Air 777. I'll do that one next week. Yeah, we don't need that one. It's already like 2:30 in the morning. I can't even imagine how it would be if she had one. I don't know, maybe it would just been the same thing. Because, I mean, if it's two wings of one bird, then they would have, like, gone about it, like, with different machinations, but it could have been the same thing. I tend to suspect that now. So they would have maybe left the border open longer, certain bones that would be thrown to the Democrats more. But you will notice that, like, certain things, both sides suddenly agree. Or they put up a very weak argument. Like, so the Republicans are pushing, like, they pushed us into this war. They kind of complain that they're not sure we should be doing it, but none of them will vote to, like, put it into it or take control of it. The Democrats are like, well, I don't know if that was a good decision. You're right there on this one part of the war, but they're not really saber rattling to end it, like, as far as the politicians are concerned. So there's, like, you know, it's pretty weak-willed protest is what I would say. At least we went to the moon. Yeah, did we? Yeah, okay, good. Yeah, I know it was. I know. There was one thing where the Artemis, where they, I think they used AI or something, because the camera goes in and then it pans really quick, but over here for just like one frame, it looks like a whole nother boat, and it looks like there's sand, and it was bizarre. At least hold the phone to the window. Yeah, they can't decide if they can see stars or not. I don't know. Maybe we'll get the Bible world. I mean, they'll be like, there's been a lot of talk about the thing with the anti-grav having to do with ether, which is in the Bible. So maybe we're going to go to Bible world next, where there'll be ether, and there'll be spirits, which will be interdimensional aliens, and the battle of good and evil or something. I wouldn't even be shocked at this point. We'll get 1,000 years of Bible world, and then something else after that. To the moon. We lost the technology to go to the moon. Like, I have a calculator in the closet. I'll bring it out for you. Yeah, the whole thing. The narratives are dumber every 5 seconds. It's like UFO scientist murder season. Yeah, I know. So I don't know if you saw that one there. So you always got to wonder now, okay, if stuff comes out later, is it a psyop to cover what really happened, or is this what really happened and the information's coming out? Because I kind of feel like any reality could be true, and maybe that's part of it, but maybe there's like 16 different timelines sitting on top of each other now. So that one woman, she actually had a bunch of text posts where she was describing how all different influences were trying to get a hold of her and manipulate her. Like, so there'd be foreign governments trying to get her to publish more of her data, other ones threatening her, all this weird crap. And that was in the months before she died. So that is also very suspicious. Bricks are tiny batteries. Each one can hold a tiny charge. That narrative is getting popular. I wouldn't be surprised if something like that came down the chute. I don't think that we'll need a little bit more fleshing out of that, but maybe it'll have to be special bricks that have a special iron containing Hormuz Island red sand or something, or it won't work, but the moon is in the wrong place in the sky. Yeah. Not to mention, like, the other day, let me see if I can find that moon. The moon was like, I mean, I call it the dinner plate moon. The dinner plate moon has been around for a number of years, but it was so thin, and then it looked so wide. And I call it the dinner. It looked like this in the sky the other day, and I was just like, I think before it had more curve to the side when it was dinner plate style. It was more like a bowl. This is like a real flat plate. So another shifty. Yeah. So they call it Cheshire Moon. Was a couple years ago. I call it dinner plate. Yeah. It didn't do that like 6 years ago. There's no way. And that's one of the things that some people, occasionally there'll be a new thing. Like, what the hell? The moon. All right, well, anyways, there we go. Dinner plate moon. Woo. It's enough politics. Trust no one, but be optimistic. That's the message for today. I want to know what settings to use to get a good picture of the moon. You have to talk to the camera people for that. Anyway, you know the drill. Thank you for coming. Think good thoughts, everybody. This is Eva signing off for Once Upon a Timeline.